What's your goal when you're presenting to investors? Well, I know what you're thinking. You're saying to yourself, well, my goal is to raise money. Well, of course you're right, but there are a few interim goals between where you are today and actually raising that money. And that's what I'm going to go through with you in this video. In fact, I'm going to focus on one thing and one goal that's more important than all the other goals, and that's this. You want to make it really, 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 that's a lot of reallys right there, really simple for investors to understand what your business is about. I'm going to explain how to do this and some tips for how to do this and why this is so powerful in the rest of this video. So let's get started. So before I give you those tips, I want to explain why it's so powerful to work this way. Well, the reason is because you want to eliminate any investors by being transparent and being direct and being very clear about your business. You want to eliminate the investors that aren't interested. Now, I know it feels good, right, when investors keep going with you and they move forward with you. And I know it really, really sucks when an investor says, I'm not going to go forward, or passes, or the typical investor response of radio silence, which is the one I hate the most. None of those responses are good. And you want to get to the response of no quickly, because you want to eliminate those people, not for their benefit, but for your benefit. Because guess what? If you can eliminate those people, then you can focus on the people that do care and are really interested in what your story is about. That's why this is so powerful, because we want to focus on those people. We want to make it really easy for the investors that are really excited about what you're doing to say, wow, this is really what I want. I want to invest in this. So the less ambiguity, the better. So now for those tips. The first tip is the one I've already said. You want to be completely transparent with investors. They're going to find out, especially serious investors, all the good things about your company and all the bad things about your company, because they're going to do their research. They're going to do their diligence. They're going to know all about you, your team, everything. So the more transparent you are, the easier you make it for them, the more credibility you gain when you raise money. I'm going to tell you a quick story about this. And that comes with point number 2. You want to tell your potential investors all about all of your competitors, every single one of them. Don't hide a thing. Now for that quick story I was telling you about previously. Here's the story. So when I was an entrepreneur in residence at Crosslink Capital in San Francisco, I used to sit in when entrepreneurs would pitch, and we debrief, the partners and myself would debrief after every single company came in and pitched. And we talk about what we liked, what we disliked, and we do it in kind of a Socratic method where the managing partner of the fund, Mike, would talk at the end. And after a really impressive company came in and pitched to us, Mike looked at us and said, you know what? The CEO told us about companies we had no idea existed. And guess what happened? They got an investment from us. The point is this: don't be afraid to tell investors about the good and the bad and all of your competitors and how you win and how you're gonna beat them. Because guess what? By telling them, you get to frame the story your way. So if they're going to find out you're competing with Facebook, or you're competing with Google or Amazon or whomever it might be in your particular market, tell them and explain, well, here's how they fit, here's how we fit, and here's why we're better, and here's why we're going to win. It's your chance to frame the story. Don't wait. Don't hide things, because if you hide things, you lose credibility. You hurt your integrity. And when you do that, guess what happens? The investment goes away, because now I can't trust you as an investor. That's not what you want. Now for point number 3. Don't hide your personnel issues. I've heard so many stories, and I've lived through the stories too, of the VP of engineering that you're going to need to let go, your co-founder that you're going to need to fire, the VP of sales that just ain't cutting it anymore. And you say, you know what, I'll deal with them after the funding. Don't do it. Don't do it. Deal with them now. My basic rule is this: run the company as if you're not raising money. If you want to fire somebody, fire them. If you want to get rid of a co-founder, get rid of the co-founder. And what do? You tell your potential investors, because they're going to ask you a question like this. I can almost guarantee it. Tell me who needs to go on the management team. Who's a keeper and who needs to go? You're going to hear a question somewhat like that. And you need to be brutally honest, because if you're planning that massacre after you raise the money and then a week later you say, well, I decided to get rid of my VP of engineering, the investors are going to look at you and say, why didn't you tell me about that beforehand? And guess what you've done? You've hurt your credibility. And it's going to hurt you later on, because now, again, I can't trust you as an investor. So just be honest. I had this exact situation come up when I was raising money. We had a VP of sales. I knew he needed to go, and I held on and I held on and I held on. And what happened in the middle of the fundraising effort? The guy quit on me. He quit. And I told my existing investors, I said, hey, our VP of sales just quit. It's fine with me. I wanted to get rid of him anyways. And they were aghast. Oh, we can't tell the new investors that this is happening. You have to keep it hidden. We're going to try and keep them around. And it was a disaster. It was a complete disaster. It put me between a rock and a hard place. And I played along, and then finally I couldn't play along anymore. And you know what happened? I told our new investors that the VP of sales was leaving. And you know what they said? Oh, good. You know why they said that? The next thing out of their mouths was this: well, we, in our research, we knew this guy was a bad guy, so we're okay with that. Please, if you've got somebody who's a problem, it's okay. Just be honest about it. Tell your investors, this person's an issue. I'm planning on getting rid of them. Okay? Or get rid of them, and tell your investors beforehand. It'll be fine. And if it's not fine, they're not the right investors for you. Now for my final bit of gutsy advice for you. I've talked about this one before, but this one I just love. Put together a slide, or at least have it in your backup deck, why you shouldn't invest in my company. I love this one, because guess what? There are gonna be questions that every single investor has about your company. So why not just be out with them? You know, so they're going to be concerned about various things. They're going to have hypotheses about this. You're going to know where the weak spots are in the company. So just be out with it. Tell people, hey, my weak spots are here, here, and here. We have an issue in sales with these types of customers. Here's what we're doing to address it. Here's what we're doing to make it better. Whatever the issue is, just come out with it. Just be honest about it. You're going to find out that, again, investors are going to appreciate your honesty, because they're going to know where you're weak. And they're going to talk to you about it, and they're going to be concerned about it, and they're going to ask you. So again, you get to frame the story. You can tell I really like framing stories, because when you frame the story, you control the narrative. And you're in control, you're offensive rather than being defensive. Try it. It really, really works. So you've got my 4 things for today, right? You understood what they are. Be transparent. Talk about every single competitor out there. Tell them about your personnel issues if you've got them. If you don't, cool, but most of us have them. Tell them about the keepers. Tell them about the person that has to leave. And then finally, try the here are the issues with our company slide. Here's the reasons why you shouldn't invest. It really does work. I'm Brett at brettjfox.com. Have a great, great day.